Well,
semester?
when I came back, that was in late winter, early spring. And they asked me if I would do a project, and I said maybe, but I couldn't do it until at least fall because I had commitments. So I came back in the fall of 1984, and they had a seminar, a weekly seminar for mostly human service professionals in the community who were interested in therapy. And they would meet for, I think, 4 hours, but several hours in the afternoon once a month and talk about therapy. And but again, they were doing ecosystemic therapy then. They'd talk about therapy and they would watch tapes. They would sometimes do role plays, but it was pretty much like a class. And then when that class was over, then they would begin to see clients, and the people in the class would stay. And at the beginning, would stay behind the mirror and observe. But later, this is a 9-month class. Later, then they began to meet with clients themselves, and so they would be observed by the team. So I don't remember who all of the people in the class were. I do believe that Karen Jick was one of the students, and of course she's gone on to have a pretty distinguished career of her own as a solution-focused therapist. Steve Insu and Steve Eve and Insu were the major teachers in the class. Elam dropped by once in a while, and there was a therapist from Cardiff who was there, who was at the clinic that during that period of time, and he would stop in to the seminars from time to time. In the evenings, though, lots of people would come in and do sessions. Marilyn Bonchine did sessions, and Wally did sessions. Elam did sessions, and so on. Jane Peller was around in those days and came in sometimes in the evenings and met with people and so on. So that there were always kind of people, especially in the evening, people floating in and out, either doing sessions or watching sessions. And most of those sessions were done in front of the mirror. They had 2 mirrors, and most of them were done in front of at least one of the mirrors, so that pretty much anybody could watch what was going on whenever it was happening.
Was this it sounded very unusual and a special kind of atmosphere, and especially at that time also it must have been quite rare to have this opportunity to watch therapy and go in and out and be in training or stepping by and having a session. Did you have a feeling that this was very special?
I did have that feeling, but since I didn't know anything about how therapy was normally taught, it was more a feeling. I think that I mean, you're right about it being very open and all of that. There was a kind of the experimentalism that I talked about earlier extended to the way things happened, especially at night around the clinic, because people were doing lots of different things. The big observation room had a room for a lot of people if it were packed. Lots of times it wasn't packed, and so people would move chairs back, and I know Insu would lie on the floor and stretch. Sometimes somebody would say they were hungry and they'd call out for pizza. and there was a rear door so you could receive pizza while the session was going on. Um, and so it was not chaos, but it was a very kind of relaxed atmosphere in which people didn't sit behind the mirror hanging on every word that was said. They were engaged in conversation with each other. Sometimes people would call home to check on the kids, and listening there with one ear and listening to the session with another ear, and that kind of thing. So it was, I think that was part of, I think that was an important part of what was going on, and that's something that was eventually lost as it became more structured and orderly,
Okay.
and more like school.
Mhm.